All right, and we are back here, episode 10 of Spider Bites. We have reached a milestone here on Couch Coach Live presents Spider Bite, where we give you bite-sized content pertaining to the University of Richmond football. And in this episode here, we will discuss the Spiders' homecoming win versus Towson. We'll talk about you know some milestones and some achievements following homecoming. We'll discuss some guys got some awards this week. We'll discuss that. We'll talk about the matchup versus the Campbell Fighting Camels of Campbell University. So, what we're gonna do, we're gonna kick that intro, and we'll be right back here on Spider Bites as we will enter episode 10, and we'll be right back. All right, and we are back here on episode 10 of Spider Bite. So, let's get to it. Obviously, the Spiders come into this matchup 7-2 winners of 7 consecutive games. They are currently ninth in the AFCA poll. That's the highest ranking since 2017 for the Spiders team. So now they are in the top 10 in the AFCA FCS poll, and then they are ranked 13th in the stats perform FCS ranking. Pardon me, FCS ranking. So Spiders are seeking their 8th consecutive win. If they do pull up that feat on Saturday, they will have the longest win streak they've had since 2009, and that streak was, I think it was like 17 games where it was in between two seasons. Obviously, 2008 was here they won the national championship in the FCS, and then that win streak carried over into the 2029 season. So I think that one is at 17. We're definitely way a long way from that streak, but hey, if they get their 8th consecutive win on Saturday, they will, that'll be their longest streak since the 2009 season. So we talked about it in tease. Essentially, the Spiders did win their homecoming matchup last week, 35-24 over Towson. So in that game, so many stuff happened as far as turnovers. And then also Jeremiah Grant had a great performance. He in that feat, he was named Defensive Player of the Week in the CAA. He had 3 sacks in that game, 2 forced fumbles. So now his sack total is at 11 and a half. And he leads the FCS in total sacks. So, and he's a few sacks away from having the most sacks in a year for the Spiders. He's definitely inching up there, especially with 3 games. Well, many games left. I think 3 games left. Yeah, 3 games left in this season. So it's like he's on pace. I put that way to beat that single season record. But 11 and a half sacks there as well. And then also Sean O'Hare. Last week had 5 field goals in the win over Towson. He was named Special Teams Player of the Week for his performance last week. So fast forward, we got to talk about the Spiders' opponent this Saturday as they head to Campbell University, and they are the Fighting Camels. They are 3-6 on the season, 1-4 in divisional in conference play. This is their second meeting between the Fighting Camels and the Spiders. They played last year. As a matter of fact, it was University of Richmond's homecoming last week. Not last week, but last year. It was last week, but fast forward, they played each other last year during University of Richmond's homecoming, where the Spiders did win that game 44-13. And this Campbell team is coming off a 50-27 loss. It was, when you look at it just from the standpoint, it really wasn't a good game for them. They trailed by 30 points. I think they had Elon had a 43-13 lead going into not going to, but in the middle of the third quarter. So it was pretty ugly. But even in that loss, there was still some great performances in that game for Campbell. You look at that quarterback, Mike Chandler, the second, fairly decent game. 22 for 39, 355 yards. He had 4 touchdowns, and he also led the team in rushing. And then I know he got, I wouldn't say primarily, though, he had 2 of those touchdowns were pretty much after they were down by 30. So, take it as it may, but hey, it's still on the scoreboard. I know a lot of people may deem that it's like empty calories, but hey, it's on the stat board. But he was still effective even prior to that 30-point lead, and he had those 2 touchdowns. So take it as it may, but hey, he's still a great athletic quarterback. He also led the Camels in rushing. He had 51 yards in that game against Elon. Then you look at they got 2 stud wide receivers and Randall King, who had 7 receptions, 145 yards and 2 touchdowns. He actually led Campbell in receiving last week. And then also Sincere Brown also had 7 receptions, 135 yards and 2 touchdowns. So the Spiders got their work kind of cut out with that trio there. With the athletic quarterback, and then also you got those 2 wide receivers that are capable of having double-digit receiving yards. So definitely gonna be a tall task for the secondary for the Spiders. And then also you look at defensively, they have a Jalen Brooks, the linebacker. He led the team last week with 9 tackles, and he had 1 sack. So thus, it's going to be a very interesting game for the Spiders team. When you look at some guys who I think can stand out in this game for the University of Richmond, obviously it starts with the quarterbacks. Quarterback Cam Coleman, another solid performance last week. I think he had 2 touchdowns last week in the homecoming win. So I definitely think he'll be there. Landon Ellis had a great game last week as well. I think he was the beneficiary of those 2 touchdowns that came through. So you look at him coupled with a Nick DeGennaro. He's found, got back into the groove as we've been talking about him pretty much primarily the last like month, where he has kind of ratcheted up his play. So you look at I think he can have a good game in this matchup as well. And then you definitely can't discount the running backs. Obviously, you look at Zach Palmer Smith, Andrew King. Those guys still have that propensity to run that football and give this team some great yardage. And I think definitely can help diversify this offense. I'm thinking in the last few weeks, I know it's been like kind of a seesaw with it. As far as I know, that was like their calling card the first couple of weeks, and then in these last few weeks, you really seen like kind of Cam Coleman doing his thing on as far as you seen the pass game open up, and now I think you have both of those facets at your repertoire. So I definitely think it could be a tough time for a Campbell team to withstand. And then you look at defensively, they have had a knack for turn the football over. We talked about Jeremiah Grant. He had those 2 forced fumbles, but then one of the fumble recoveries from a guy like Jabril Hayes, who had that, and then also had a 90-yard pick six last week that essentially was a difference in that football game. When you really sit down and think about it, that was the first play of the fourth quarter, and pretty much kind of shut the door for for Towson, and essentially killed their momentum in that particular game. So you look at that couple with that. I think you look at this defensively, it's just going to be such a great effort. You're going to just have guys getting to the ball. Camden Bird, he's going to ball out again this week, I think. And also Jeremiah Grant, as he's inching closer to that University of Richmond Spider record for most sacks in a year. He's going to be someone to be watched as well. They just had a lot of guys. Tank Frazier, I think, could potentially have a good game in this game as well. He was another one that had an interception a few weeks ago, and then also Jabril Hayes. So Uh, this team is well equipped to handle the trio for Campbell on offense. So I definitely can see that this Spider team could be another game where they could be opportunistic. And I definitely think if they become opportunistic defensively wise, as far as creating turnovers and what have you, that's been their calling card, and that's really has been their success in this 7 game win streak is essentially, having that perfect balance where the offense is doing its thing, and then all 3 phases coming together. And I think this is another one where you will see all 3 phases come to play and have an A+ game. So this will be a good game. This is a 3:30 kickoff on Saturday. So definitely looking forward to this matchup. And man, this wraps up episode 10, a milestone here on Spider Bites. And we'll catch you guys the next week as the boys head a little east as they face Hampton. We'll discuss that matchup next week, and we'll catch you guys the next Thursday on Spider Bite. And we're out.